What's up, guys? It's your buddy, Reformed Stoic here. So I got something a little bit different for you today. This video is called On Losing Friends, but I'll bet you're not expecting what the video is actually going to be about. It is going to be on that topic, but I figured what better way for me to reflect on that topic than to go over my experiences losing friends. And I have a lot of them. And right out the gate, the first pattern that I notice is that it's not necessarily like I lost friends because I did something wrong or they did something wrong. A lot of it's just kind of like moving away from people and moving towards different things in life, or some of it I don't even know how to label it. It's a very particular life experience that I've had. I just went and shut the window. Don't want to annoy the neighbor with my rant here, but yeah, I imagine this video could go pretty long, but I don't have that much to say about every particular situation, but I'm basically going to start from my childhood and then just work up, and then maybe kind of see if I can spit some wisdom at you after reflecting on these situations. So, I had a friend in first grade. Maybe it was kindergarten, like kindergarten, first grade. He ended up moving. So, he moved in second grade, but a little bit about how I met him. We were in gym class, I remember, in kindergarten or first grade, and I ran and slid on my knees, and then he started laughing, and then he ran and slid on his knees, and we kind of just like emulated what each other were doing, and then as a result, we ended up being friends, and we told our parents. We played a lot of like, what was it called? Twisted Metal 4. He had an older brother. We'd watch him play Doom. His dad was military, and my mom didn't like violent video games. So my mom would be like, I don't want you letting him play violent video games and watch violent movies. I remember we were going to go watch Blade in movie theaters, the first Blade. And my mom wouldn't let me go because it was rated R. And as a joke, because, you know, his dad thought it was kind of funny that my mom didn't want me to play violent video games. So he's like, if you guys are going to play Doom, you have to play the Disney Doom mod. The Disney Doom WAD. Like, that's so much less violent. So I thought that was super nostalgic. Years later in my 20s, I was trying to find that WAD. Eventually I did. So the last time I played through Doom, I did the Disney Doom WAD. Seems like it was one of the more rare ones over time. Where like the flying demon things, or the genie from Aladdin, and then the other ones are the red genie from Aladdin, and I don't know, anyway. And you're Marty Martian, which isn't even a Disney character. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z. We watched his older brother and his dad play like StarCraft, Command and Conquer, Warcraft 2, way before World of Warcraft. A lot of computer games. A lot of Super Nintendo, taking turns playing Super Mario. Pretty simple stuff. We're probably going to go ahead and try to work towards my older ages, because that's where the meat of the discussion is going to take place. But that was my first best friend ever. His older brother was in 6th grade, I believe. He was in like 5th, 6th grade, because he was my friend for a couple of years. And he would pretty much pal around with us. We'd go outside and play like laser tag. Their dad would take us to the pool on the Coast Guard base. We'd go to the pizza parlor. Real good memories, man. Real good times. We'd play pretend. We would like pretend we were Dragon Ball Z characters. Dude, I have the funniest memory of this. We'd be talking about our power levels. This kid's name was Jeremy, dude. And I just remember he'd have this like serious anime look. Like, he'd have like this super serious anime face. He'd be like, I remember I was describing something like, I think your level's over 10,000 now. And he just had this like, he had this dramatic anime look. Like he's so powerful. And he never grew his two front teeth. His two front teeth didn't come in for a long time. But anyway, I could go on and on about that. He was my first best friend ever. Honestly, I don't know if we ever had any bad memories. At least not that I remember. Just about everything was positive. They're the first people who ever told me about South Park. Good times, man. His dad was super strict. He had to go to bed at like 8 p.m. Only 1 hour TV time a day. And my parents were not that strict, and they probably should have been. But anyway, he ended up moving when I was in second grade. So that was the end of him. I ended up looking him up on MySpace when I went to college, and that was probably cringe. But so then my next best friend. This one gets a little bit weird. I mean, just as far as how it ended. So my babysitter, when I was in second grade, also babysit this guy whose name was Kyle. And so one day I go over to his house when she's babysitting, so she can basically babysit both of us at the same time. And she's like, I babysit both of you, and it seems like you would be great friends. So that was the first time I ever saw Sailor Moon. He was watching Sailor Moon when I went over there. And, I can probably gloss over this one pretty quick. He had a really cool house. I'd either spend the night at his house or he'd spend the night at my house. But interestingly enough, I seem to have way more memories spending the night at his house. And we would play video games. We played GoldenEye. Again, I wasn't allowed to play violent video games, but I'd definitely get my GoldenEye time in over there. That was the first time I ever played Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 64. He had Super Smash Brothers. Lots of video games. Legos. Me and him would play Legos. He had a dope Lego collection. His dad, I think owned a construction company or something, did construction, so there's these, big piles of sawdust outside of his house. We'd mess around on that. We'd shoot his BB guns at stuff. Pretty good times. I remember, walking to his house after school. So the way this ended up ending was one night when I was staying the night at his house, because it got to a point where it was, overnights every weekend. One night when I was staying at his house, I was sleeping on the couch, and the lights were on, and I heard the ticking clock, and it was like, and I couldn't sleep, and I got this weird, kind of panic anxiety attack. It wasn't as bad as a panic or an anxiety attack, but I just kind of freaked out, and I wanted to go home. So I woke him up. It's like, hey man, I don't know what it is. I just want to go home. So I called my parents. It was 1 a.m. I think they were actually up watching TV when I called. And my parents picked me up, and I went home. And I kind of just thought it was a random thing. And it's weird how time just feels. Those couple of years that we were friends, it felt like it lasted for years and years and years and years, dude. But really, I think we were just friends in second and third grade. So basically, a couple of years we were friends. And we had tons and tons and tons of overnights. We would watch Dragon Ball Z. I remember one time we got a shit ton of candy from the store, and we laid all this packaged candy out on his mom's bed, and we were watching Dragon Ball Z in his mom's room, just eating way too much candy. That was good times. But yeah, so I went home because I was randomly scared or whatever. I wanted to go home. I wanted my mommy and daddy. I wanted to be in my own bed. So that happened, and then we saw The Grinch. It was either The Grinch or Dinosaur. I think it was The Grinch because it was close to Christmas. We saw Jim Carrey's The Grinch in theaters, and then we went over to my neighbor's house, and we had a bunch of ice cream. It's let's go over there and have ice cream sundaes, and then I'm gonna go stay the night at Kyle's house. So then, after the ice cream sundaes, I stay the night at Kyle's house, and we're hanging out and playing. And then I was like, I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm sick, and I just want to go home. And that was the second time I did that at an overnight. And then that was just kind of it. I ended up meeting Wes I'm trying to like have a little bit of discretion with people's names. I've talked about this guy a lot on my stream. Wes was my neighbor. Okay, Wesley, I'll just I'll just say his name. He was my neighbor. So what ended up basically happening was I started spending a lot more time with Wesley, and I think Kyle was like still every now and then would come over a little bit, but that was pretty much it. He ended up kind of just hanging out with people who lived closer to him, and I started spending more time with Wesley. And then I also had a friend, Ryan, and me and Wesley were both friends with Ryan. And so Wesley and Ryan, and then there's this kind of little group of people associated with that group. And that lasted for a couple of years. I actually had the same thing at his house once, where I was like, I want to go home. But then his dad gave me like Pepsid, which is kind of, it's like a Tums type of a thing. You put it in a glass of water and it fizzes up and then you drink it for your stomach. He gave me a Pepsid and I ended up kind of just getting over it. You know, that was like 4th or 5th grade. So with Ryan, what happened, this is a funny story. Me and Wesley are hanging out at my house, and Ryan and this other guy call, and we're in like 5th grade. Or no, Wesley calls me. He's like, dude, Ryan and this guy are like, they're having like sex with older girls. They were all in like 5th grade, and apparently these like girls who were 3 or 4 years older, so they must have been like middle schoolers, they like had sex with them and they were like bragging about it on the phone. And me and Wesley were like, it's bad, dude. That's weird. Or yeah, we thought it was like weird or bad. And I don't know if that was why I stopped hanging out with him. But yeah, this was like pretty close to middle school now. Because yeah, a lot of 4th and 5th grade, I was friends with Ryan. But I think by 6th grade, that was around the time of 6th grade. And yeah, he was a year older. So he was in middle school, Wesley's in middle school, Wesley's a year older. I was in 6th grade. Around that time. That's when that happened. And then that was around the time I stopped seeing Ryan. Ryan was super cool. First time I ever saw Final Fantasy VIII, he was playing it over there. We played GoldenEye a ton over there. We played N64 GoldenEye. We played PS1 GoldenEye. We played The World's Not Enough 007. Street Fighter Alpha. Street Fighter 2 Alpha. Dude, that game's rare now. I think it's like $60-$70. It's not like crazy rare, but that was a really cool multiplayer game for PS1. So, you know, video games, movies. I remember one time on one of his birthdays, we all like watched a porno. He had some like old 90s porn tape where a guy was getting a blowjob in a bathtub, and for some reason we're all watching it. I think a lot of people have that memory. You know, a lot of guys like watching porn together in 4th and 5th grade. I don't know. I know that sounds weird, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty common. Yeah, he'd have these like slumber parties for his birthdays where there was like 10 people spending the night. We played Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board, which was like my first occult experience. And somebody would be in the middle and everybody would be on the edges, like light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board. And people started like freaking out. People were like crying and they said they saw weird stuff. And Wesley didn't believe me when I said this. I was the only one who like didn't cry. I just thought it was funny and I didn't take it seriously. And I don't really know what that's supposed to mean, but yeah, it's pretty strange. And they said that they like did that a lot. They'd be like, oh, we did this other times. And people were like levitating into the ceiling. And very strange how little kids might kind of just like stumble into weird occult practice. You know, I remember we were playing Candyman with like Jeremy way back in 1st grade. My babysitter way forever ago taught me Bloody Mary. That like traumatized me. I was traumatized by Bloody Mary. You spin around and say Bloody Mary 3 times, and then you're supposed to see a woman in the mirror. That freaking terrified me, dude. I was afraid of mirrors for like ever because of that. Okay, so yeah, that was Ryan. The last memory I have with him was like one time he had a birthday party at a bowling alley, And we were a bunch of like 5th graders mobbing around town, dude. We're this group of like 10 5th graders just acting like we're all tough. And I think, dude, 5th graders? Like, if I saw a group of 5th graders now, I'd be like, dude, I'm gonna like beat up all of you at the same time. Like, get out of my face, dude. 5th graders, I was like lying on the ground in the parking lot. Or there's this place where cars drive up by the bowling alley, and I was lying on the ground like, and some adult was like, hey, get out of here, you kids. We were acting like Tom Green jackass hoodlums, dude, and we're all like 4th and 5th graders. I think he was 5th grade, I was 4th grade. Okay, so that's that. Man, oh man, this is shaping up to be a pretty long video here. But okay, so that's like childhood. That's elementary school. Now we're getting to middle school. This one's weird. This guy Timmy, little Timmy. This guy Timmy. This is one of the really strange ones. I knew him through my family. I knew him and his older sister. His sister was 1 year older. They both played guitar. I knew him through my family. And I actually have some good memories with this guy, dude. And I feel kind of bad about this one. But he hits me up like the first day of summer after 6th grade is over. And he's like, yo, I heard you play drums, dude. And I had just started playing drums. I learned drums for the talent show in 6th grade. And after like 6 months of drums, I played this drum solo. It was like, and then the big finale of the drum solo was like quarter notes on the bass drum. You know, Bear taught me that. Bear like guided me to learn that, and you know he's freaking gang stalking me now. But anyway, let's not go there. So this guy Timmy hits me up. Is like, dude, I hear you play drums. Let's start a band. I play guitar and I sing. And this is really interesting because he showed me like stuff. He's the first guy I ever heard of Rufio from. He showed me Rufio. He showed me Newfound Glory. First time I ever heard Newfound Glory. I was already into Blink-182 and Sum 41. Like, so back to Ryan, on my birthday, one of Ryan's friends, he got me All Killer No Filler from Sum 41. He wasn't even, this other guy wasn't even a good friend of mine, but that's how it was when you're little kids. Like, everybody gets you gifts on your birthday. He's like, yeah, dude, they're pretty cool. He got me All Killer No Filler from Sum 41, and that became my favorite band. And then Wesley and other friends I'm going to talk about soon, they were really into Blink-182. And I would say that I thought Sum 41 was better, and they thought Blink-182 was better. Overall now, I probably like Blink-182 better. They're probably the better band overall. But All Killer No Filler is a killing album, dude. I still need to rock it all the way through before summer's over. Yeah, but dude, so we would jam like Carousel from Blink-182. I think we jammed Damn It. We said we were going to play in a band, but we ended up kind of just like hanging out. That was back in like the Kazaa days. Maybe the very beginning of LimeWire. Like before I even started torrenting anything yet. I don't even think I had... Yeah, that was before I had even started like really looking at like porn. Because I couldn't even find it yet. But that was like Kazaa, LimeWire, the very beginning of downloading music, MSN Messenger, and yeah, dude, like, man, he showed me Newfound Glory and Rufio. That's freaking huge. Like, as far as that genre of music goes, I F with those bands heavy, dude. Rufio pretty much ended up becoming my favorite band. That was kind of like a band that was unique to me because they weren't quite as popular. And that's kind of like what headed me more to the emo side of things. But, so we had this one summer where we spent the whole summer together, like just about every day, dude. I'd either go spend the night at his house, he'd spend the night at my house. We'd go, like, rent movies at Blockbuster. That's when I was still afraid of the cover of Child's Play. I had all these, like, childhood fears that lingered for a really long time, dude. Like, I did not like the cover of Child's Play Chucky movies. And it's funny, because as soon as I finally watched one, his voice is like, yeah, kid, I'm Charles Lee Ray. I'm Charles Lee Ray, kid. I was like, oh, that's not scary, that's stupid. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh, that's it. I'm over my Chucky fear. But, So we had this summer spending like every day together. Sometimes me, him, and Wesley would hang out. And then just kind of like in middle school, things were really awkward for me around middle school. So now we're like 7th grade, which was probably the most awkward year of my entire life, dude. I was 4'7". I was like 4'7", dude. And then I was like 4'9". That was 4'11". But I think all of middle school, I was 4 foot something, under 100 pounds, tiny, dude, tiny, and I couldn't do one pull-up. I was pathetic. So middle school was really intimidating for me. I don't even really remember 7th grade that well, bro. I think it was like kind of traumatic for me. I'm trying to think of who I spent the most time with, but that's where Brendan comes in. And he was one of the guys in the Facebook thread talking shit about me now, to give you an idea of how that ended up. But, so that's somebody I met through my mom. And so me and him started probably hanging out around 7th grade. I think maybe it was before that. We might have already been hanging out in 6th grade. But no, that was like 7th grade. And there was a whole clique associated with that. I became friends with his friends. Wesley was kind of a part of that clique too. And man, it's crazy because Brendan ended up getting insomnia. He ended up getting insomnia, and I see why. Because when we'd have overnights at his house, man, we walked to Blockbuster. It was like an epic 20-minute walk. Walk to Blockbuster, go to Walmart. We'd each get like our own big 2 liters of like off-brand cola and load up on snacks and a bunch of crap and like play video games all night. Bro, Conker's Bad Fur Day multiplayer. We did so much Conker's Bad Fur Day. We did so much Super Smash Bros. Melee. We ended up playing Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. We'd all get our Game Boy Advances, because that you have to like use a Game Boy Advance as a controller on the GameCube. We get 4 people playing at a time Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which was pretty epic. That lasted probably all of middle school. But what happened was near the end of middle school, I mean, I could go on and on and on about this friendship. Dude, he lived by these woods that led to a water reservoir. And we'd play this thing called The Game. We were like anime superhero characters. And he had a staff, and he was pretty good with a staff. And we'd play some epic pretend like Dungeons and Dragons crap. Where we would like up our power levels and stuff. Dude, this is going to be a really epic video. Maybe nobody's going to care about this, but I'm going to try to get through it. So yeah, I have a lot of good memories with him, man. Late nights, we kind of like would regularly almost stay up all night, bro. Usually what I would remember happening is we'd maybe stay up till like 8 a.m. and then I'd sleep till like 11 or 12. I'd only get like maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep and then go home and maybe take a nap or something. But yeah, that was probably the beginning of my sleeping schedule starting to go to shit. But he was kind of like, he wasn't a bully, but yeah, I was really small in middle school and he was already bigger, and he was just a little bit aggressive. He was also a year older, and like all of his friends were in that same class, and they were just kind of like rowdy and mean. Both me and Wesley were small, and it's like, we didn't really get bullied, but just I got like pushed around a little bit by these guys, and I wasn't crazy about it, and I was just kind of getting tired of their group. And in 8th grade, I met this dude Shade, who was like, oh man, this guy was a cult of personality, dude. This is like the first cult of personality friend that I ever had. And that's when I got my first girlfriend. Basically, my only girlfriend. So he had dyed black hair originally. I met him at the end of 7th grade. And he played in a Nirvana cover band. And actually, they had a different drummer. But what happened was I was basically better than their drummer. So I start kind of like low-key rehearsing with their band. I never played any shows with them, but I was kind of starting to replace the other drummer, and we started palling around all the time. This guy Shade, and he had a couple of friends, and we were totally hoodlums. I had dyed black hair, and I'd wear like a studded armband and black jeans. I had like black jeans, dyed black hair, still really small. I was like this small, pale white kid with black hair and black jeans. And this girl, dude, she already had like pretty big tits, dude. She already had big tits in like 8th grade. And she basically told people that like she wanted me to ask her out. It's like, dude, this girl wants to go out with you. All you got to do is ask her out. So I hit her up on MSN Messenger, ask her out. And she had already been like calling my house before that. I don't even know if she got my number. She just started calling my house. So this girl pretty much made it easy, and I started dating her. And then he was dating Max K's older sister. So we would double date. Yeah, me and Shade and our girlfriends, we'd watch movies. And then him and his girlfriend would be making out in the bathroom. He'd be like, dude, she was like giving me a hand job, and I was like trying to push her head down, bro. I like almost got a blowjob, dude. Sick, bro. And then, yeah, I told you guys about my epic, got like a dry hand job, and then like she put it in her mouth after I already came. That's pretty explicit for this video. I apologize for that, but if you didn't know, that was one of my early childhood experiences. That was one of my early experiences in 8th grade. So yeah, this little clique that I was a part of, man, this really similar stuff with all these friend groups. We'd watch movies, walk to Blockbuster, get a bunch of candy, stay up late. They were taking like no-dose pills. One time, these two guys took no-dose pills while I was asleep, and they were like doing fart noises in my ear and stuff. That was the time I was starting to get tired of them. I had one of those babies. Did you guys ever get those like electronic babies in your health class? Where it's like, oh, if you have sex, you could have a baby, and so you have to like learn what it's like to have a baby. They were like fucking with the baby. We were having band practice, and I was like, I gotta go dump the trash with my dad. Do not mess with the baby. And I get back, and the baby's like violently crying, and I'm like, dude, we tried to put it in your bass drum. They're like, yeah. So I got a B-, dude. I got like 2 mishandlings with the baby, so it was 10 points off for each. I at least passed, dude. What, this one chick, she had like the baby fell in the street and got ran over by a car, dude. But yeah, the year before that, I was messing with Wesley's baby, and that was a big thing, dude. Whenever people had these babies, everybody messes with the babies. And yeah, one night I stayed at Shade's house when I had the baby, and it cried like every freaking hour. It was brutal. So what happened with this friend group, because kind of the whole point of this video is to talk about how every friendship ended, and I'll probably summarize it at the end. But so then comes this emo band. There's this Filipino dude who's 3 years older than me called the Emo King, Abel, and he's dead now. Rest in peace. He's like my first good friend who ever died. And then Michael, who you guys know about. And then so they start hitting me up. And yeah, so they wanted me to play the show at the high school called The Sock Full of Steel. And I was in 8th grade. And so there's all these rumors going around the high school, and I'm fucking tiny, and high schoolers are like scary to me, and they're like, dude, I hear they got this like 8th grade drummer, man. He's like really good. Yeah, there's like this 8th grader dude, and he's gonna play The Sock Full of Steel, and he's like really good, bro. And I was alright, dude. I wasn't really that great in 8th grade, but I was good enough. So I was gonna play with Winter's Apathy. And so these guys and the Nirvana cover band were like, dude, if you play this fucking emo show, you're out of the band, bruh. and I did. And I played it. Because, you know, I liked Nirvana, but I really liked emo. And these guys, dude, they were so cliquey, dude. It was like a cult. You had to, like, listen to whatever he listened to. You had to be obsessed with Nirvana like him. And I really liked Nirvana, and I had good memories, but I also listened to emo. And, man, Winter's Apathy. Bro, we played Watch the World by Boxcar Racer. I watched the smoke as it grew darker. It blew up through the roof. We played Hawthorne Heights, Ohio is for Lovers. So cut my wrists and black my eyes. We played Finch, What It Is to Burn. We played Census Fail, 187. I wanna kill you now. Well, I'm insane. Dude, we played all kinds of cool songs. We played Under Oath. Bro, we played this Under Oath song. And the set list that we played was like really cool looking back on it. I think we played a couple of Finch songs. We also played a talent show at one point where we played like Taking Back Sunday, 180 B-side. So sick of being tired, and oh so tired of being sick. Man. But yeah, we played The Sock Full of Steel, and yeah, that was it. The Shade and all them, they dumped me as a friend. So now we're finally to my freshman year of high school. And Shade was going to school that year, and he would like sit in the hall, and every time I walk by, he would like talk shit. One time I was like, yo, Jake, you're a fucking pussy, dude. He'd talk all this shit. I was still really small. I was probably like 5'2", maybe, or like 5'5" or something. But he was like a skinny guy too. He wasn't really tough or anything. But yeah, so anyway, he was like talking shit. He ended up having like a hit list. I heard a rumor that he had a hit list. And I told my mom. And my mom went to the school and told somebody. And he got fucking expelled. And then his family moved. So now we're to my freshman year of high school. And now we can kind of like start skipping through time a bit. Because that's when I was taking drumming really seriously. I was a part of the jazz band in high school, and I met all my friends through jazz band, all older people. Most of them were 2 years older. They were juniors when I was a freshman, and then like a couple of seniors were hanging around. I remember one time in middle school, this guy, Leedy, he was like this really sick shred guitar player, and they're like, yo, dude, we heard you play drums, and they'd be like, psst, come with us. It would be band. I was in like concert band, and they'd have me come into the practice rooms and be like, dude, just go do. They just had me play drums a little bit so they could play Slayer. They're like, yeah, right on, bro. But oh man, this is too much. So freshman, sophomore year, I had like band nerd friends, and we nerded out on music and had overnights. And they were Christians. Most of them were like Baptist Christians. And that all pretty much ended on a good note. Those were like really positive friends. I'll bet some of them like feel weird about me now. Actually, one of them from that friend group was at the Baptist church I was going to here. And she's married now and has like a ton of kids. But we had a couple of things to reminisce about. And all of that really ended on a good note. And those were the friends that I went to like the Christian lunches with. And yeah, this guy was like, I had a big stack of Playboys in the middle of the woods, and I was crying, and I burnt him, and I said, I'm sorry, Jesus, I'm sorry, and I would like roll my eyes, and I was pretty confident about being an atheist. And everybody like, I want everybody to close their eyes, raise your hand if you want to be saved by the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I'd kind of like look around the room and like judge people, and it's really interesting looking back, man, because it would have been so positive for me if I would have got saved way back then, but it wasn't happening. Even though I went to the Monday lunches every Monday, I went to the Wednesday pizzas. I got a bunch of my friends to go do. A bunch of my chuddy party friends, like, yeah, dude, Wednesday pizza. Yeah, Jesus, bro. Dude, you got pepperoni? We're taking advantage of the Christians, dude, so I could go get the sick lunch buffet every Monday at somebody's house. They would like make this epic meal and then give a sermon and then pizza on Wednesday. So that's pretty much it. Freshman and sophomore year. Now, this is when I was meeting these dudes who live out in the flats, who were already kind of experimenting with drugs and alcohol. Some of them were already partying, and they hit me up because they heard I was a drummer. I met all these people through playing drums. So this is where I meet my party friend group, and that would go on for years. That went on for junior year, senior year. I go off to Berkeley, and I would still come back and hang out with those people. A majority of like people that I've like talked about and experiences I've talked about on my channel is from those times. So the bulk of this video was like the prequel of a lot of information that you've probably never heard about me. Leading up to the party years that I've made a lot of my old content was about that. That's when a lot of the resentment started. That's when I was like, you know, a lot of new experiences, going to parties, getting like beat up and wrestled by fucking mean party guys, and seeing girls hooking up with guys for the first time and being like, damn, dude, this is different. But I don't have much to say about that other than, as far as how those friendships ended, that's all the Facebook drama. That's all the stuff that I've told you guys about a million times. Like me being bitter in Vegas and, you know, talking shit on Facebook, or Sperg posting on Facebook. And so you guys who have paid attention for a while, you probably have a good idea of how that ended. But so then I get to college. Berkeley College of Music. My first roommate was this jazz guitar player guy, and he was kind of a beta. He's like, yeah, I love smoking weed, dude. And so, you know, we were both like shy, and we kind of just like would watch movies. I'd go into his room. He had the bigger room in our apartment, and we just watch movies on his laptop and smoke his bong. It's pretty lame, dude. It took me a while to start making friends at Berkeley, but I think about that whole first year living with him. We would hear parties nearby, and I never just like went to a party. It's like, sup, dude, I like to party. Like, what's up? What's up with the party? I just never tried going to a party my first year there. So, and me and him would like meet people to jam with, and they would usually like want to jam with me. Not all the time, but there was this one guy in particular who became my friend later. Real, like, chuddy guy. He got me to help him move, and then when I wanted him to help me move, he blew off my calls. It's like, oh, dude, sorry, man, I slept all day, bro. We slept till, like, 4. Isn't that crazy? Totally blew me off. But, yeah. When we jammed with him, he was like, yo, don't invite your roommate anymore. So, a lot of the Berkeley stuff didn't really stick. I mean, dude, one of these guys who I'm about to record an album with, I met pretty close to that time. I met him in some of my classes at Berkeley. He was the thrash guitar player. He's like, yo, bro, like, we're gonna hang out at my apartment, man. We have drinks, and he's funny, dude. He's a hoot. He'd be, like, holding a 40, getting drunk, and he'd just throw on some Slayer song. And he'd be like, let's fucking go, boys! This Canadian alcoholic thrash guitar player. But, you know, from here on, I guess the last significant friend group is when I was dropped out of Berkeley, playing in metal bands, and we lived in a metal house, and we all played in metal bands. This one guy there was really a cult of personality. He had some clout. He got some attention on YouTube. Everything kind of centered around him, low-key. Like, he was a really good music engineer. He was really driven with writing music. He was, like, the most inspired of the people around. And me and him kind of had a bond, because we'd work out together. We had similar tastes. He respected that I was, like, a really brutal blast beat drummer, because I was really idolizing, like, Nile, Behemoth. I was going for it, dude. I wanted to be, like, a brutal tech death drummer. And, that group was a lot of goofiness, a lot of, like, watching Trailer Park Boys, getting drunk, smoking weed. Dude, Taco Bell, eating Taco Bell, going to shows. We saw all kinds of cool shows at the Palladium. I'd watch his band. They'd watch my band. His girlfriend was the guitar player in the main band that I was playing in. And I'm pretty sure they're still dating, as far as I know. As far as that group, dude, there's some resentment there now because, yeah, he's the one who got me into the occult, dude. He's the one who told me about Aleister Crowley. He had all this weird stuff about, like, the school shooters. He was, like, really into the Columbine shooters. And it's weird, bro, because that's before school shootings started to really become a thing. Columbine had already happened. That was, like, back in 2012. Well, we don't need to get into that topic that much, but, yeah, that group was interesting. And I've told you guys about the Boston Times. Like, it took a little bit to grow into that group, and then it peaked, and we were really good friends. We had really good times. My band kind of felt like it was doing stuff. And then after my band, like, went on tour, we went on the tour in 2013, and then I went home that summer, and I had some good times that summer. And then we opened for Animals as Leaders and Sean in 2014. But yeah, things were kind of going sour in 2013. I was starting to have some band drama. My band was like lecturing me because I couldn't afford to play in their band. And the album we recorded ended up being a disaster because we shouldn't have done it DIY. It's like, we're doing it DIY, dude, because we're smart and we know what we're doing. No, we're all dumb and we didn't know what we were doing. A lot of them tried to pin it on me, or the singer tried to pin it on me, but a lot of us didn't know what we were doing, dude. We just needed to go to a studio. Yeah, as far as how all that ended, like I said, there was the peak when all of our bands were doing cool stuff, and it felt like it was going somewhere, and I had clout. It was like, damn, Jake's like in a legit technical death metal band, and it felt cool. We shot a music video. Some girls from Kodiak called me up all drunk, like, we saw your music video, like, oh my gosh, you're like on TV, and wow, and like some people were starting to see, and you know, people didn't like death metal in my hometown, but they were starting to see that I was like a part of something that looked like maybe it was a big deal. And when it started to become evident that it wasn't, like, you know, I mean, yeah, it was some clout, but it cost money, and it wasn't really going anywhere, I started to be in a visibly bad mood. I was starting to be visibly negative, and people were like, what's your problem, dude? Like, you just played the House of Blues, man. Like, you shouldn't complain about anything. And I was like, yeah, but it didn't make any money, and it doesn't matter, and all these financial problems I have are only getting worse. I kept trying to work all shit jobs. I worked in an ice cream shop. I was a busboy twice. I held the sign, dressed up like the Statue of Liberty for Liberty Mutual. That was embarrassing, dude. One time some tall, like, accounting guy was like, hey, man, how much do you make? He's trying to give me shit about how much I make, and he's like some CPA or whatever it's called. He's probably making like $100,000 a year, at least. I don't know. He might have been some Wall Street hotshot. I have no idea, dude. He was all narcissistically rubbing it in my face. Some guy I recognized from Berkeley was walking by. He's like, hey, Jake. He said it in like this really cocky way. Like, hey, Jake. Just trying to make me fucking feel bad. Like, it started to get weird, dude. Like, people who saw that I was a good drummer maybe were like kind of jealous of me and having pissing matches with me. They started to kind of rub it in my face when I had to work these shitty jobs, dude. And the reality was, most everybody I was around was rich kids, and they didn't have to work shitty jobs. And they'd graduate from Berkeley and get a career in their field, or they'd use nepotism and get a good job, and started to wear on me. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Then I moved to Vegas, and then I sperged on Facebook, and then I lost all my party friends from my junior year of high school on. So I've been through a lot of friends. First friend moved. Had the weird thing where I had to go home in the middle of the night. Then, you know, these people had sex in 5th grade with older girls. And we're like, no, dude, you're not supposed to have sex, dude. And then a lot of it was just me and Wesley lived really close. So it was just really easy to walk over to his house. And I didn't have any anxiety about staying at his house. And then Brendan, he was kind of ghetto, you know. Like, his mom was, like, kind of poor. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But he was, like, my poorest of my friends. I had a friend also that I kind of skipped over from way back in like 3rd grade who lived in a trailer park. And that's like his dad reminded me of Julian. I told you the story where he left us in a truck with this song. He's like, hey, I'll be right back, kids. And he put on If I Go Crazy, Then Will You Still Call Me Superman? It was on repeat. We probably listened to it all the way through like 5 or 6 times. I was like, is your dad ever going to come back, dude? He'll be back. He'll be back. He's all pissed off because he's like, he's got this like ghetto ass trailer park dad. He like left us in the car. That's like such a trailer park thing to do. I shouldn't have skipped over him because he's the one who showed me Eminem. Dude, that was the time when it was all about Eminem, Britney Spears, and Kid Rock. Devil Without a Cause, I'm going platinum. And we would listen to Britney Spears, and when his parents weren't around, eventually they moved into like a nicer house, and we'd go over there when his parents weren't there and listen to Eminem and like giggle at all the swear words. But that's pretty much about him. I don't even really know how I stopped hanging out with him. He was weird, dude. That guy actually like apparently he asked one of my friends to do it. He's like, dude, you want to like have gay sex just to like try it, bro? I was like, what? No. Never with me. Never anything gay. No, nothing ever weird, even though me and him did spend a lot of one-on-one time. He was questionable, dude. He would like crank it in the room at slumber parties. He'd be like, whoa, guys, I'm cranking it. Oh my gosh. He had some issues, dude. But yeah, apparently he like wanted to like have gay sex with one of my friends, and then nobody like hung out with him anymore. So rip him, dude. Yeah, so I forgot him. That was like 2nd and 3rd grade. That was an early one. So what's the conclusion here? Is my experience weird? I mean, more than anything, I have to ask you guys. Like, I feel like I went through a lot of friends, and my conclusion overall is that like for the elementary school years, overnights are weird. If I ever have kids, overnights are not going to be a regular thing. Because you start making these adult decisions, you know? You start having all this alone time, and relationships are kind of like a responsibility. Who knows, dude? Your kid could just like blow it one day when he's in like 3rd grade and be like, hey, look, I pooped and I rubbed it on the wall. And it's like, ew, you're a weirdo. You're a loser. And then like he's banned from the house, and then his friends dump him, and then his friends tell the whole school that he rubbed poop on the wall. Like, man, I don't know. I was a little kid. I thought it would be funny to rub poop on the wall. That never happened. That never happened, dude. I wouldn't have had any of those other friends if that would have happened. But, yeah, you know, like, you're undeveloped, and there's all these weird experiences, and yeah, bro, I mean, I told you that, like, me and my friends, like, watched porn together. Me and Shade in that group, dude, we watched a lot of porn together, and it was really weird, man. That was really weird. He told me about a bunch of porn that I kind of would still watch today, dude, and yeah, he was a terrible influence. And just a lot of bad influences. Sometimes there'd be bad times, you know. I was really small, so sometimes I'd get kind of ganged up on. One time, like, one of my friends, I had this military friend here for a while. He showed me a shit ton of emo bands. I forgot to tell you about him. That was in 7th grade. He moved in 8th grade. But him and Brendan, like, he held me down in my room, and then Brendan went on my MSN Messenger and, like, talked shit to a bunch of people. And that's just, those kind of bad times and bad vibes can happen, dude, when there's a lot of unsupervised little kid time. I think your kids' friends should be like who they meet in sports, who they're spending productive, adult supervised, extracurricular activities with. That should be who your kid's friends are in his developmental years. And I was saying earlier today on stream, I think they should basically force you to do sports. Like, it should be a part of school. And if you're really not good at sports, because yes, not everybody does sports. There's some sort of a system where they try to find a sport you're good at. But, you know, not everybody does sports. So, some sort of an extracurricular activity, bro. And they should really try to encourage you to do sports. And they should try to, like, build you up and have, like, sports counseling. It's like, okay, so you're not super big. You thought about doing wrestling? Like, you're not a super big football player guy. You're not tall. You can't do basketball. But maybe be a good wrestler. What about if you're wrestling somebody your own size? Which in middle school, I would have been fucking terrible, dude, because I couldn't even do a pull-up. But, I believe in extracurricular activities, dude. Like, my life was all about overnights. And then eventually it was all about partying. Like, I was all about being out with friends all the time. And it made for some weird experiences, you know? Like, me and Kyle were like this, dude. We were like best buddies. And then I just have this weird little kid stuff. Because, you know, second, third grade, you're still a little kid. It's like, I want to go home. I want my mommy. I'm not cozy. And it, like, ruined our friendship. And actually, me and him kind of reconnected. I actually ended up living with him and his girlfriend the summer that I was working at the music store. And that was pretty cool. And then I went and stayed at somebody else's house, and then it sucked. But, yeah, we were reconnected a little bit later down the line. I ended up weirding him out in Vegas because I was into the occult. And he was an atheist, and he showed me some Richard Dawkins TED Talks, like, oh, we better get drunk, dude, because we don't agree at all. And I started telling him about the occult, and oh my gosh, dude, I was in Dragon Rouge. I was telling him about how I wanted to go to Universe B, and I weirded him out, dude. I weirded him the flip out, but this is a 50-minute video. This is the longest video I've made in a long time. And, yeah. It's more of just a storytelling time than anything. I don't really know what kind of, like, advice or conclusion other than, like, in retrospect, I wish I would have been more productive because so much of that was video games. So much of it was watching movies. After junior year, so much of it was smoking weed and drinking. Everybody I met in Boston, drinking, smoking weed all the time. Shroomy boomies every now and then, and yeah, dude, like, I wish I would have had a better foundation of, like, structure. And then, you know, then you have friends on, like, your football team or your wrestling team. And then your friends are actually, like, cool, you know? You're like, I'm not saying my friends weren't cool. And, like, we were decently high status. By my junior and senior year, I was going to the cool kid parties. I was getting my ass kicked at them, and I wasn't getting laid, but I was at least there. There's a lot of kids who wear Walmart clothes who, like, didn't have any fucking friends, dude. And probably hated their life. I was there. I was hip, and there were some girls who liked me, and I was shy, and you know, I've said this a lot. There's a lot of people who probably looked at my life when I was a junior and senior and probably thought I was pretty cool. And they didn't realize some of the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. They didn't realize the way I felt, you know? But anyway, that's the whole story, and I don't really know anything to say other than that's it. I think this video ended up just being story time. Maybe you guys can tell me about some of your weird friend stories in the comments. And one thing I wanted to say, because my original idea for this topic was, like, friends are an investment. And when you don't keep lifelong friends, it's like losing all your money on the stock market or losing all your money gambling. I mean, me and Wesley were friends since 5th grade, bro. And what did it end up as? He talks a bunch of shit about me. He gossips about me, and he's not my friend anymore. So it's like, wow. I put, like, frick, dude, like 10 years, 20 years, bro. Wow. Literally, like, 20 years of being his friend. More or less. And what does it amount to? Now he gossips about me. Now he talks shit about me. Now I made him uncomfortable in the woods. So, when none of your friendships pan out towards a long-lasting thing, that's a bummer. And some of my best friends are people that I kind of left behind, and I feel bad about it. People like Ryan. I was like, dude, I kind of wish I would have kept him around, man, but I didn't really get along with some of his other friends. And, you know, around middle school, I was getting good at drums, is what was happening. It was becoming evident that I was, like, the best drummer our age group on the island. And I kind of started climbing the ranks. All these music people wanted me to be in their band. And I started kind of leaving some of these other people behind who didn't really, like, climb the ranks into this. I ended up kind of getting filtered into, like, you know, it's a small town, bro. Like, all of the who's who of everybody pretty much ended up showing up at these parties that I was at in junior and senior year. And, yeah. Some of my best friends were people that I kind of left behind. Brendan was sketchy. ultimately I felt kind of bad about leaving him behind, but then I saw who he grew up into, and I rubbed him the wrong way, dude. I made a comment about how he didn't have a dad, and it was really random. He was in a big fight with somebody on Facebook. I was like, damn, dude, like, what's your problem? Like, it's probably because you didn't have a dad around. And he's like, if you go to that thread where everybody's talking shit about me, and you see Brendan, and he's like, oh, we're gonna fucking beat his ass, and don't talk shit if you don't want to get hit. He's like unhinged. It's all because I made that little comment about him not having a dad, dude. It very clearly like hurt him. And I'm sorry, but the reason I would do stuff like that is because people called me short and bald like it was nothing, dude. Like, man, people walked all over my boundaries all the time. And then I just say one thing. It's like, damn, dude, what's your problem? It's like you never had a dad around. Blam! And it would just, I'd have these comments that would cut people so deep, bro. And they'd see red, and they'd start spreading rumors and talking shit and flying monkeys. Like, I had the power to just really push people's buttons, bro. Like, people would hit me with these little tiny, you're bald and short and you're a loser, and then when I do something, it's like, you know, I have like 130 IQ and I went to the best music school in the world and you guys are all drug addict losers. It's like Hiroshima, dude. It's like atomic nuclear bomb. I would say these one-liners that would just atomic nuclear bomb my reputation and lose me friends. And I had a lot of bitterment and resentment, and when I vented and made my feelings clear, nothing was left. Not one friend from Kodiak was left. Except maybe some of the people from the past that I lost touch with, and I'll bet some of them have caught wind of what I'm about now, and I'm not hearing from them either. Bro. And I had one more thought. Okay. In terms of lifelong friendships, I see how my parents have had lifelong friendships. It comes with success and stability. I think the friends that you keep around are people that you share your success with. It's like, hey man, me and my wife are gonna go stay on a campground in our camper. Do you and your wife want to come hang out with our camper? Yeah, we'll take our camper and you can use our four-wheelers and we'll use your camper. And you know, like, people who have money and wives and kids and things, like, you know, you're on a freaking wrestling team together in college and you got girlfriends. Like, I think part of why I never kept my friends is because I never got where I was going in life, man. I was always looking for something else. I'm trying to find this drumming gig where, like, you know, I'm in a band that makes money and I can get a girlfriend and buy a house and have stability. That's when you meet friends that you can have for a long time. And yeah, obviously that doesn't always work out, but it just never happened, bro. It just never happened. I kept searching. And in all these years, when you're not getting where you want to go, some other people are kind of getting there and you're getting bitter and you're getting jealous, or you're trying, maybe you're doing better than your other friends, and then they're trying to kind of narc you and pull you down. And when it comes down to, because yeah, all the people in my party group in Kodiak, nobody was really getting where they wanted to go, bro. Maybe guys were getting laid with like loose women here and there, but nobody was really getting anywhere, bro. Even if, I don't care if these guys were fishing and making thousands of dollars. They go to the bar and ring the bell and buy everybody shots and in and out of jail, rolling their trucks, rolling their four-wheelers. I mean, some of these guys ended up creating some stability, but some of them are dead, bro. And it became a lot of guys who weren't finding what they wanted in life, and then you just start to become animals. You start to lose your civility, and it's like, wow, that's my girl. Like, no, you're not gonna get a girl. You're a loser. I'm better looking than you. And you just, nobody has anything they want, and it got to a point where I was like, you know what, dude? I think I just want to be alone. Because I'm tired of being around a bunch of guys who were like competing, and in Boston, everybody had money, dude, and I didn't. And so when I moved to Vegas, all the people I was starting to meet were like douchebags. I met one group that could have been like my new friend group. They're all younger than me, and I was like, you know what, dude? I think I'm just gonna kick it solo. And
You should have seen this one guy in that group. He's like, I was like leaving. I was like, hey guys, I think I'm gonna head out. He's like, really, dude? But we're gonna order a pizza. I was like, nah, you know, it's late and I gotta do this. He's like, and his face got all red. He's like, yo, you're a fucking douchebag, bro. And he's trying to act like he was joking, but it's like I rejected them and they were offended. And I felt bad, bro. But yeah. Anyway, wow, that's an hour. That's an hour video, boys. So those are my thoughts about it. That's my story, and those are my thoughts. And maybe you enjoyed it, maybe you didn't. It is what it is. God bless, friends. Tell me your thoughts in the comments.